Hello and welcome to an Englishman in Cunderman. Been a little while since we've done some work on the YouTube channel, but here we go. So today we're going to be brewing an all grain beer, an Englishman's duck water, pinched from somebody else's recipe I might add, but and just a couple of tweaks. First of all, we'll get the water up to mash temperature, about 76 degrees, somewhere there. By the time we mix it with the grain, it should be around about 66. We'll then leave that for an hour mashing, a couple of stirs and that. Drain it off, and we'll sparge that, so we'll rinse the grain then to get a bit more out of it, and hopefully have about 25 litres to boil back in the boiler. So we'll boil that for 60 minutes an hour, 60 minutes to an hour and a half. Whatever the recipe says, and then that'll be fermented, and hopefully in about 5 or 6 weeks we'll have some nice duck water to drink. Gonna have a play around with the water today. The water in Bishop's Castle unfortunately is not the best for brewing, so we need to put some additives into that, so we'll just do a few tests as we go along, and hopefully get that somewhere better than what we've had in the past. So I'll come back to you later. Bye for now. So we're back with the brewing. We've got the water up to mash temperature. So we've mixed the grains in with the mash. So we'll give that a little stir in a minute because it's been stood now for 15 minutes or so. We put 3 millilitres of lactic acid in, just to try and lower the pH. pH is too high in our local water really for brewing. So we've hopefully lowered that enough. Got some lactic acid to put then into the sparge water where we rinse the grains. And I was hoping to have some other additives to put in, but they haven't arrived yet. But just getting the pH, if we can get the pH right, it'll make a big difference to the beer. So that's the starting point there. So here's our grains at the moment. So there's the spoon. So well, it's more of a ladle. Well, not ladle. I don't know what it is. Stirring instrument. Give that a bit of a stir. So right, come back when we're ready to sparge. Welcome back. Mash is now done, so we can start to drain it off and sparge the grains then. We want to get first pull off the mash. It'll be a bit grainy, so we need to throw that back in and let it filter through. You can see there a bit murky all round. Back in and get it a bit cleaner. Right, let's go with that. Right, so we'll drain it off into our bucket, ready to go for the boil. While that's doing that, I'll set up the storage. Right, see how we get going with this. Get the right flow rate for the farm to turn. It's stuck on this, it's stuck. Ooh. That is it. Oh, now it's going. So that's our sparge complete. Just a few bits draining out now, so there you can see the grain's all been rinsed. That's our wort. That's looking very good, and we've just got slightly over 25 litres. So you know, that's probably the maximum that the brew boiler can take without boiling over, so that's looking good in my opinion. So we'll see. It is a bit experimental when you try these things out. You can read all the books and all the information off professionals as you like, but until you learn from your own mistakes, you in my opinion, you don't always get the best results. So done about, I think this is my, what have we got? It's the third, fourth, so this will be the 5th brew, the second one with grains. So still got a lot to learn. I did do grains many years ago, but it was over in Shrewsbury where the water was much better. Just, you know, you didn't have the same hindrances as what we get in Bishop's Castle with the water here. So, but we'll get there. It's bit trial and error, so see how we get on with this one. I'm going to put the water in for the boil now and come back to you a bit later. Well, so we're just coming up to the boil. We've got to boil the water for 60 minutes. We'll be a bit careful here that we don't get a boil over, because it's quite possible, and that's the last thing we want. So here's our new up spider. Hope this does the trick. I've been using bags in the past and ate the blooming things, because you can never get the blooming things clean and always seem to hit the bottom. So let's see what happens when we put this in, because this is when the boil goes frantic. As you can see, it's really having a moment there. So that's got a boil there now. We've just put some golden hops in, East Kent. I'm going to put some more in on 30 minutes and some more in on the last 15 minutes. So we'll come back about the last 15 minutes, because at that point then we need to put the cooler in there just to sterilise it, and also we need to put a clearing tablet in called, well, it's got Wort Bright we got, but it's like an Irish moss. So see you in a bit. Well, welcome back. We're just getting down to our last 15 minutes of the boil, and a bumblebee decides to come in. No, he's gone. So we're just getting back down to our last 15 minutes of the boil. So we need to put another 40 grams of East Kent Goldings. So in total that's 87 grams. So we'll put those in the top spider there. Now we've got a bit of a trick on our hands because we've got to get this in there so we can sterilise it ready for cooling the wort. And that is going to be easier said than done, I think. Little hop spider in there as well. Oh, looks like we might get away with it. We have. So that's that in. And then we need to add one of these tablets in about 5 minutes time. Just get the wort nice and clear, hopefully. Ready for fermenting. So come back when we reach the end of the boil, and then we'll look to cool the wort as quickly as we can with the chiller. Get it into the fermenting bin and get it cooled down ready for fermentation temperature where we can pitch the yeast. So come back to you in a bit. Hello and welcome back. We're just coming up to the hour mark now on the boil, so that's well, we've probably had an hour now, to be honest. So we're ready to switch that off in a minute, and we'll start chilling the wort. Now is the important time that everything is sterilised thoroughly, because once the temperature of the wort now drops below boiling point, then that's when it's at risk of infection. Also, the slower that you cool it, the greater risk of infection. So we've got this cooler set up, which I can't really show you at the moment, but what it is, it's a coil of pipes inside this lid here, which also doubles up as a lid for my fermenter actually, but which I could use on the fermenter, but it's the only chiller I've got, and I want to do another batch in a different fermenter where the lid doesn't fit, so we need to keep it just on the boiler for now. So we'll have cold water coming in on the fire hose there, which will go through this pipe, pull the temperature out the wort, and hopefully we'll be having a lot hot water, warmer water coming out than what's going in. So right, I'll just get all things set up then, so we can switch the boiler off now. That's the end of the boil. That's gone. Switch the thermostat right down just in case I knock the button, and we can start chilling that wort. Wow, that is hot. So it's obviously doing something. Not sure where that's running a bit. I'm going to slow that down a bit. Feels a bit better, but that's interesting to see what temperature that is actually. It's coming out of there at about 50 degrees, so it's taking quite a bit of temperature off. I'm going to slow it down a bit more. Ah, that stopped. Coming out, I hope. Oh yeah. So we'll get that cooled down as quick as we can and get it in the fermenter and down to fermentation temperature. So be back in a bit. I think I might do another boil today as well, but we'll see how we get on with this one first.